This week on RSBANDB Update, 110 Crafting makes its first appearance at a Right-Click Examine blog. From Magic Armour, Exquisite Urns, and Platinum Jewellery, we go back and forth on new ideas for 110 Crafting. Also, Golden Gear, player support updates, and Quest Quality of Life. This is RSBANDB Update, episode 1030, recorded Thursday, March 27th, 2025. What would a wizard wear? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of RSBANDB Update. This week, of course, we have the right-click examine for 110 Crafting. We also have a fantastic list of quest fixes and improvements in the patch notes, and to go through all these, we have a Parnassius here, everybody's second favorite Australian.
He is back. First time since RuneFest.
And you know, the fun bit about that is that Monstu actually came up and asked about the second favorite Australian to us when we had the community booth on the Sunday. So that has permeated the community.
Shout out to Monstu then for thinking of me.
Absolute champion.
And that is also Zerdones here as well. Welcome back, Zerdones. I figure it was a good week to have you on. We were going to be discussing something different, but then we got the 110 crafting right-click examine dropped in our lap, which is equally good from what we were going to be discussing. So
that's the fun thing about these right-click examines. They just kind of drop out of the blue on you.
Yeah, and you know I know the last one we spent a lot of time on, so I thought, oh yeah, we're good. We don't need. We'll save the other content for another week, maybe next week. But in the meantime, of course, I'm also doing good. Proud to say I'm firing on all cylinders again. I think I've finally beaten all the head congestion that was there, and I don't feel like I'm ready to fall asleep at the start of the podcast, despite being sick for a good while after returning. So this is in many ways the first regular RSBANDB update episode, at least I feel, in like a month. So there's that.
Sorry folks, we gotta rein it in this time.
Yeah. What'd you say? Who's back in town? What'd you call me?
Daddy.
I said Wild
Daddy's
West was
back.
over.
Oh God, don't call me daddy. God.
Daddy's home.
In the meantime, of course.
That one.
Oh boy. In the meantime, full show notes can be found over at update.show. We have a Discord at update.show/Discord. The friends chat can be found again at BitsBytes. But I must also give a big, huge thank you out there to all of our experienced tier Patreon members for whom without update would not be possible. This week, that is Amos Reed, Dominic R., Drama Free, Harry, Jason S., Jesse W., Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Mr. T, Ricky A., Runestar, Oasis, The Naked Captain, and Tim. Big, huge thank you to all of those people. You'll be hearing a little bit more about our Patreon offerings in a little bit. But let's just dive right in right now to this 110 rune crafting right-click examine, starting this off. So, or did I say 110 rune crafting? Wow, I mean 110 crafting.
We're back.
Yeah, we're back. We're
Back
not
in
at
business.
we're not at the SOBAC stage yet. But we'll go through this, and I'll say what I'm thinking at the end when we get there. But 110 crafting will deliver a new armor crafting method for a shiny new set of magic armor, as well as a new level 100 set of magic masterwork armor. There will also be exquisite runes and a new set of platinum jewellery that will come with the 110 crafting update.
Urns, not runes. Still not rune
urns.
crafting.
I don't know why I'm on the rune bandwagon here, but thank you, Urns.
And a
110
quick
urn crafting
one,
is such a good update.
a quick
Sorry, go
one
ahead.
for people with because of this new jewelry. Do start hanging on to all your jade drops because from those Scaberites, because it may be that they were planning ahead and we were getting jade drops down there for a reason.
Yeah, and just all those other gems as well, opals, topaz, and whatnot. Save those for the time being.
just in case.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I need to say, going in, that crafting is probably my least favorite skill outside of Slayer. Like, if we're gonna, put on a list like all the artisan skills and the gathering skills, and if I'm gonna put them on a list, I think crafting is near the bottom for me right now with where we're at.
What don't you like about it? Explain.
It's an issue that persists both RS3 and old school. It just feels absolutely useless presently. Like, I have 99, but I don't know what I got 99 for even. Like, I got 99 by doing daily potion flasks.
Okay. I mean, I think, I don't necessarily disagree with your conclusion, but I think I disagree with the reasons, because crafting is actually very useful. It's just useful in ways that are kind of invisible.
The biggest one's probably the urns at this stage, right?
Depends on where you are in the game. I mean, the urns are very good for XP, and, on the group Iron, XP is going to be very important to you. But, the high-tier amulets, the Essence of Finality,
EOF, Hydrix, and whatnot, right.
Yeah, Luck of the Dwarves, that needs 95, I think, something like that.
Yep.
So, you do use it. What I don't like about it is the training methods.
Right.
Just kind of suck.
Yeah.
It's basically either you cut gems until your fingers bleed, or you craft what's the meta, like dragon wart,
royal dragon
leather shields.
Royal dragon leather.
Yeah,
I think
it's like just dragon shields at every level, forever.
I was going to say the same thing. It is a useful skill. I mean, especially training up through Iron Man. But as you said, training methods suck. There's not a wide variety. It's either long and slow. But useful things like, I mean, Ganodermic. It's a tier 80 armor.
That's going to be fixed.
But I need 90. Yeah, exactly. I need 98 to be able to make the poncho. So I think it is well beyond time the skill is being looked at and fixing those things up. I mean, I don't mind the skill. I quite enjoy the skill, but it is a long, slow slog. And as you said, the meta of being dragon leather basically from 60 to 99 is not a well-rounded skill.
Right, and that's my bottleneck on the GIM right now of unlocking invention. There is a good crafting method in the game. It is locked behind, I think, 87 or 84 archaeology with the Gate of Eladinis. Around 240,000 crafting XP an hour.
Yep.
Isn't the crafting meta for irons just to go down into Demonheim and just strip Demonheim bare like locusts?
Yeah, that's another one too. That is another one too.
I did the I did 89 to 90 at Elidinus. It's just so boring, and you get nothing out of it. I mean,
and you got to reset the boss. And anyways, it's important. The reason I wanted to mention that is that this is for the 100 to 110 bracket, and maybe a little bit below when it comes to making the armor in particular. So everything we're talking about of being pain points and irritants for the skill will have to wait for another day to be fixed. So let's just put that out there in front right now and just look at, I guess, the top end of the skill, which you said, Zerdones, is actually very useful when it comes to things like the Hydrix jewellery and whatnot, and the alchemical jewelry. So starting off, there is magic armor crafting, and with this, the idea behind this is that they want you to feel like you're actually crafting something and not just bank standing. So what they're going to be doing with this is that they're going to be adding in a new method that actually involves cultivating cloth, which takes a page out of Daemonheim in terms of being able to harvest plants with the farming skill, spin those into cloth, and then eventually turn them into magic armor. So with that,
Folks, that sound you can hear in the background is Shane's happy dance because farming is important again.
Farming is always important in the game. Perhaps maybe
Farming
too
is
important.
always important.
Yeah.
Now
love
is another reason to be special.
I love when they tie skills together.
Yeah.
I agree.
At level 100 farming, you'll plant these new seeds. They'll come from thieving, monster drops, and other activities, which, when grown, yield the materials for creating this cloth. So with this, the first question is, what are we even planting? And they say they don't know, but you'll be part of making that decision.
EBD. Worth mentioning that this is scheduled to come out in June.
Yeah.
So we're a couple months away yet.
My vote is hemp.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, blaze it.
Because it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek reference to that, but also there are people in the real world who, make clothes and clothing articles and accessories out of hemp. So why not, right?
Arguably, that was the original intention, original purpose. But...
Exactly. And
you don't think they'll just bring up the Demonheim plants as well?
I think that would be a cop-out.
Yeah, I don't want to see Rune Leaf and all that type of stuff because we saw that with the metal. That's fine. Yeah. I don't want to have every skill suddenly. It's just Demonheim on the surface. So
I remember Mod Breezy, I think, mentioning that with 110 woodcutting, like they didn't want to bring up the Demonheim trees for exactly that reason.
Yeah,
it's a cop-out.
And they did that well. Yeah.
They did it once for 110 smithing. So I mean, why would you do it again? Yeah. My vote is hemp. Do either of you have any thoughts on what the fiber could be?
I think it's going to tie into the design theme, which is a little bit lower in the page.
Okay.
Dragon leaf.
Ooh,
I think depending on what they choose as the theme, that's going to dictate sort of what we get. Because, not to skip too far ahead, if they pick blood bark, to me that implies a tree, as opposed to infinity, which maybe that's an enchanted flower or something,
right?
Or mystic, which is, maybe
mystic
some kind of
comes from now.
Right now, mystic you can't craft; you can only receive the cloth as a drop.
Yeah, that's right. But the cloth drops from where does the cloth drop again?
KBD Corp. I think you can get small amounts of it from cockroaches. I think in the Stronghold of Player Safety.
Yeah,
there's a couple of others too. I can't remember.
Ancestral. Maybe that would be something on the allotment side. I don't know, or bush
mixed with carapace.
Maybe.
Yeah, you are on that carapace push.
Well, I'm just trying to think why they threw out those profane scarabites with their unusual drops.
I don't think that they're meant to be tied to anything like any of the 110 skills.
It'd be nice to see if they were thinking ahead and did sort of something in that, though.
Okay.
Well, it also doesn't mean that even if it wasn't intended that way when it launched, it doesn't mean they can't look at that for inspiration now and say, hey, we have all this stuff. Maybe we can use it.
Yeah, but the thing is, it has to be a cloth that you harvest from the tree, or that you need the fiber or something to that effect.
Yeah, it needs to be something fibrous, which I think makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
But my vote is hemp. So after
that being said, I do find it.
I want to see dragon leaf.
Oh, that'd be neat.
Not to go on too much of a tangent, but I do find it interesting. It seems intuitively obvious to have magic armor be made out of some kind of fibrous material, but very little of our magic armor actually is. If you think about it, we have magic armor that's made out of leather. We have armor that's made out of fungus. We have armor that's made out of just pure energy. We have some that's made out of metal. Magic armor in this game is all over the shop.
So this is really taking it back to its roots.
Yeah, sort of bringing it back to where you expect, when you think of
in the fantasy sense.
What would a wizard wear?
Yeah.
You don't see Gandalf coming out in full plate. That doesn't make sense.
Or whatever the hell the fungus stuff that comes from Croesus turns out to be.
Yeah,
So our new question is going to be www. What would a wizard wear?
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
The answer is apparently pointy hats.
Of course. Of course.
Like Mod Witch did. Mod Black Witch did.
Oh, yeah.
At level 100 crafting, once you've obtained your produce, you'll use the spinning wheel to get plant thread, which is then processed at a loom to be turned into the cloth. And then this is where the crafting process begins. So after you have your cloth, you take it to a drafting table. And at the drafting table, you create an in-progress magic robe top, for example. And there, you plan out the armor piece, gaining XP while progressing the robe top until progress has reached 20%. Then after that, you move on from the drafting table and you take it to the tailor's dummy, where you continue the remaining 80%. And then when you're done, you have your final robe top.
This is a very interesting mechanic. It sounds kind of fiddly, but I actually, like, I kind of like it.
Because it's not smithing.
Right.
And it's not imbuing with rune crafting. It's unique to crafting.
One of the things that I think gathering skills have always done very well is they all feel a little bit different. Because like how you engage with the skill, how you receive resources, it's slightly different between every skill. Artisan skills have never really had that. They've always been really...
Stand at the bank.
Bank standy, yeah. So it's kind of fiddly, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, I like it too. And this is why I opened this segment up. People were probably wondering, why did you start talking about how crafting is useless at the top of this? Well, this is why I opened the segment up with this, because I feel like what this has done is that this has provided the bulk of what made smithing great in the mining and smithing rework to crafting just at the very high end of it. And all it's going to take is some game jam project or something to that effect to then bring that down to the rest of the skill when it comes to armor making. And then, bam, you have an entire different identity for crafting.
The one thing I will say, I hope, a lesson that I hope they learned from mining and smithing is let us batch unfinished items easily. Because that smithing didn't have that, and it was kind of, I mean, you could do it, but it was really annoying and fiddly to do.
Tedious.
For the longest time, yeah. And I think, like, as much as I like this as an interaction model, if you have to do it one piece at a time, 20% at a drafting table, 80% of the tailor's dummy, 20% of the drafting table, 80% tailor's dummy.
For all 5 pieces of the armor.
For all 28 pieces in your inventory.
Right, okay.
That's going to become excruciating.
And then the question is going to be, like, where do we find the drafting table and the tailoring dummy, right?
Yeah.
Crafting Guild?
I think Crafting
Guild.
Yeah, they make a mention a little bit later on that leads me to think Crafting Guild. And they may put one maybe in Havenheith.
Yeah, that's an option.
Make the Max Guild great again. Give us a reason to go back to the Max Guild.
I spent a lot of time in the Max Guild.
No, I know, so do I. Just War's Retreat just seems so much more useful than Max Guild.
That's a PVM thing. Yeah. Anyways,
yeah, but it's got everything. But it's as I said, I love this idea, and I like the idea of not just bank standing, creating the whole lot.
And and there's even more interaction to it, because there's a chance that you can make a mistake when crafting the armor, and then the mistake with that, if you make enough of them, you end up with miscut magic robe tops as the example, to which that must be then taken to a repairs table. Now, they note it is possible to simply continue skilling and progressing the miscut robe top without going to the repairs table, but instead you'll be working at a reduced progress rate, meaning less XP and less overall output over time.
This I found interesting because I see two ways this could work.
This is
and
almost
I'm not
like
sure
a negative thing.
Punishment.
Negative punishment.
Right, like I see two ways this could shake out. I'm not sure how much I like either of them. So one way, which I I think is probably the way they mean it, is mistake is like a random chance thing that, like, as you level up, you have less chance, you're likely of making mistake drops. That, to me, like, it intuitively makes sense. It seems kind of unfun because it's just arbitrary punishment. Like, you haven't done anything. You just had the audacity to craft with less than optimal level. So you're going to get wrapped over the knuckles with a ruler.
Right.
That seems kind of unfair. The other way I can see it working is if the drafting table is a little bit more active and, like, you actually have to interact. I think I was talking about this with someone, and the comparison I made was like to ceremonial swords, where you have to make a decision about how to do certain things. And then if you make a wrong decision that's within your control, then you have to do a little bit of extra work to correct yourself.
I kind of hope it's the first one.
Yeah, the second one feels more fair and it feels more interesting, but I think players will hate it.
It'll drive me insane.
It's too much of a process. It almost makes it feel gamified if you make a mistake, but if you don't make a mistake, it's free sailing with that. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I get that. There's an appeal to it to me. Something a little bit more active. Maybe if it was optional and you get like a buff for doing it. I don't know.
I mean, I don't mind that idea if it was like ceremonial swords, where someone shows up and gives you a plan to sort of make a piece for them, but to do it on every piece that I'm making, that would quickly kill the joy of the skill, I think.
Yeah. I also want to say is that thread will be consumed throughout the entire process, with one thread being used for every bit of progress made. And if an item is miscut, it'll use 2 pieces of thread.
Unless you have your crafting cape.
Yay!
Which we all will, because it's level 100.
Yeah. How do I found this thread comment interesting, because it's not like thread is hard to source.
No, it really isn't. It's like 1 GP and everyone stocks thousands of it.
So I just thought that was interesting that was there, given how easy it is to get thread.
I think it's one of those, it's just there for thematic reasons,
sure,
because you have it at every level. And also it keeps the crafting cape somewhat relevant. It's just one less thing you have to worry about with the crafting cape.
I don't even know if I bought the crafting cape when I got 99.
Well, now you will. Maybe. I don't know.
With the new crafting method, you'll be able to make hoods, robe tops, bottoms, gloves, and boots in a similar upgrade system to smithing and fletchings, based with the +5 and Mark V items, following the rules set out by fletching and rune crafting. Base and the +5 items can be used in combat, traded, and disassembled as expected, but intermediary stages cannot be used for combat or traded. Makes
Seems
sense.
fair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then comes adornment. This is the optional step, similar to burial in smithing. You can adorn the magic robe top and put the work on display for the master crafters of the guild. There's the mention of the crafting guild, and a final flourish done exclusively at the crafting guild. Doing this will grant a nice chunk of XP, but you will, of course, lose the magic robe top in the process.
I missed that.
Burial. Their version of burial armor. Yep.
Yeah, that's their version of burial.
Yeah.
I missed that exclusively at the crafting guild on my read-throughs of this. So that sounds like there's going to be crafting stations at multiple places, and then there's an adornment station at the crafting guild.
I think we'll see one at the fort.
Yeah, probably one at the fort, maybe one in Berthorpe. Actually, maybe not. Berthorpe's a low-level hub. I'm just thinking where there's a loom.
Lumbridge?
Griftinus.
Yeah, Priff. Is there a loom in Lumbridge?
Yeah, it's up upstairs,
in the
right?
king's,
In the king's bedroom.
There's a spinning wheel.
Yeah.
There's a spinning wheel.
That's a spinning wheel. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The only looms I can think of off the top of my head
Berthorpe.
are in Berthorpe and Priff.
Yeah.
There might be more, but I can't think of them.
Okay. I think that's all well and good
and
for
Crafting Guild, of course.
for the
The
for the armor.
Yeah, the
production.
thing, the negative effect is we'll see if that comes in, because remember we're going to get that with Necromancy too, with the rituals, and they took the negativity off those and just gave XP drops, and you could ignore them if you want to. Right. So it'll be interesting to see if that negative effect does come into play, or if it gets dropped because of player feedback.
Yeah, I can definitely see there being resistance to it as an idea.
All right. And then with that comes the question of the actual armor, like we were talking about. There will be, community feedback on this in the Discord, and of course in all the other usual places. Which one are you guys on here? Of the 90 armor prototypes in the picture here?
I always liked the look of the Dagon High, so
yeah,
probably.
Based on the concept art. Based on the concept art, I like the Grandmaster Mystic, just because I think
that's the one I would go for.
The Bloodbark looks cool, but to me it looks more like ranged armor. It doesn't really scream magic to me.
That's right. Exactly why I like it, because it is more rangy looking.
Yeah, that's fair. But we're going to be getting ranged armor.
But at the same time, maybe you just go with the gold standard of Grandmaster Infinity from the old Mage training arena, because that is iconic magic armor in both RS3 and Old School.
It is kind of iconic. What I like about Mystic is, Mystic is it's on the critical path. Infinity is iconic, but it's not very missable.
Yeah. And I also just like the color scheme and the Grandmaster Mystic concept here.
Yeah.
So, that's my pick there. And then, of course, all this leads into the Masterwork magic armor. This is, of course, the armor that has the level 100 stats and can be augmented like other Masterwork gear. And it's worth noting, I don't know if we mentioned it, the previous set of armor starts at 85, upgrades to level 90, as was the case for that. Whereas the Masterwork armor will be level 100 for it. And their questions around this are: what kind of magic armor should be used to break down into essence for this armor? Well, we just had a fun conversation about that when it came to the mystic stuff with this, or the rune crafting stuff with the seismics, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I mean, based on precedent is kind of hard to pull from, because
we only have Masterwork armor right now.
Yeah, melee armor.
Yeah,
and melee armor, for that you need to break down Torva, so the next melee. And you need to break down Malevolent, which is the stuff that you craft from Rise of the Six Sparrows, which nobody uses because why would you use it when Masterwork exists?
Please don't put Virago on this list again.
Yeah, based on precedent, it seems like Tectonic and Virtus, but that doesn't seem right.
Shit.
More Virago?
And more Nax.
But again... Yeah, again, it frustrates me when they do that, when they use group boss drops.
Yeah.
Because as an Iron Man, or as someone, even on my main account, I don't do group bosses. I want to go and earn it, but I want to do it myself. I don't want to have to rely on other finding groups and things like that. And that's what was really frustrating about the original Masterwork was, I have to buy this stuff because I'm not going to get a group to come and
put Primeval for raids in there.
Oh God!
Again, yeah, but again, it's like it's
they put Primeval in, I would actually riot.
Oh, here's an idea. No, actually, they probably don't need to increase the price of Crypt Bloom. I was going to say Crypt Bloom.
No, Crypt Bloom doesn't need the help. I was also thinking Saren armor would make sense, but Hellweir definitely doesn't need any more incentives.
We're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Infinity would kind of make sense.
That's what I was thinking.
But Infinity is such a pain to get. I mean, it's grindable, but Mage Training Arena just sucks. It's really brutal. Split
If they
Bark
did
would
an
be
upgrade
interesting.
to that, but yeah. Split Bark.
But do you want it to be so low?
I was going to
Split
say it's a
Bark
very
or
low
Infinity?
tier. It's very low tier.
I mean, yeah, what even are the higher tier magic armors?
I got the list here right now.
Ganodermic?
Let's go through this then.
Yeah,
right
there's-
now.
I know Virtus, Ganodermic, and Tectonic.
So at 65, you have Skeletal.
okay,
70 is
Skeletal,
the
that's coming from Waterbirth.
Subjugation.
Yeah, Krill.
That I'd be, yeah.
Subjugation already has a
you
lot
I was
of
going to
Arms?
say, yeah.
Arms.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Barrows.
Barrows,
Ganodermic
that'd be-
at 75. Zuriel's at 78. Virtus at 80.
Yeah.
Second Age, Mage Gear. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
that's
Well,
not going to
yeah.
use that.
Animacorp, Saren, you already mentioned, but again, Hellware doesn't
Yeah.
need the help. Ports, 85.
Port should be interesting.
Refined Animacore.
Yeah, okay.
Superior Zuriels,
Yeah,
which is
no.
Bounty Hunter, so that's no. Primeval, Crypt Bloom, and Tectonic.
Ugh,
Hmm.
I don't really like any of those.
No.
Well, that's it, because they're all group bosses.
Well,
I honestly think your best
ones.
bet here.
Gano and Sports.
I honestly think your best bet
Yeah.
here is probably just what they did for the Masterwork of going with Virtus and well, I don't want to say Tectonic.
Taking it out of the hands of Iron Man again.
I think
Using
Virtus
Sea
is
Stingers.
okay.
Virtus
Is
is okay.
okay because, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Virtus. I mean, we already have Virtus already has an essence, which I guess would save them some dev work. But yeah, I don't know.
It's difficult, and maybe we go to question 3 on this. Should it be power or tank armor? Maybe that informs the decision. I feel like we got the precedent with the Masterwork melee armor being power, that this should be power as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, there is the precedent. There's also like, I mean, like the weird thing about trimmed Masterwork and Masterwork being power. Well, the tier 90 Masterwork is like there are 2 tier 90 Masterwork melee armors, and why would you ever use the other one?
Right.
Like, why would you ever? I said this earlier. Why would you ever use Malevolent when Masterwork exists?
Yeah.
And is much easier to get.
Right.
So,
and see, that's the thing. Do they want this to be in the same boat as that, given?
The problem with having this as power is eventually they're going to want to drop magic armor from a boss. And that's going to be power armor.
Right.
Because
And the
always.
issue, and I think if this was also power, I think you would go a long way, because if you look at where Tectonic sits and the fact, regular Tectonic right now is 77 mil for a set, and you compare that to the, level 90 ranged power armor, which is peanuts in comparison.
Well, I mean, even Tectonic has dropped significantly.
Yeah. But I mean, Elite Tectonic right now, 590 mil for the set. And
even
then you need to
honestly
upkeep
very
it still.
Oh yeah, the upkeep is not worth it. But
No.
Yeah.
No. And I if I was doing Magic right now in game, I would be, saying, well, what am I using for power armor at the ultra high tiers here, because I don't want to upkeep Tectonic or Elite Tectonic, So
yeah.
I think
magic armor's in a brutal place.
so it should be power, and people might not like this. People might not like what I'm going to say, but I think the set effect bonus, which is question 2, make it a crit chance, crit severity boost. 2 pieces of the set boost your crit chance by X amount, and if you wear the full set, that gets an extra % or 2 on top of that, and then the full set also infers a critical severity boost for your magic.
That would certainly be
that.
a solution to the Sliske problem.
Right? Which is, were you on the episode when Bears talked about that?
What's the
No, but
problem?
I've talked about at the top end of Magic, the meta armor is Animacore Sliske, which is the tier 80 power armor dropped from Greg.
Because it boosts critical chance.
Yeah,
Right, because its set effect is it uses the War Priest armors that you have. It'll just take a random War Priest effect and use that. And some of those have a chance to boost crit. So it synergizes with crits.
I didn't know that. Okay.
That's a really weird... that's a really bad place for Magic to be.
But the funniest thing about that is that we talked with Bears on his group Iron Man about that. And he's like, "Yeah, I got my Magic armor sorted. It's Animacore Sliske."
Yeah. No, I wasn't on that, but I've talked with Lemon about it, I think, and one of the RuneFest panels, I think Mod Ryan talked about it. And yeah, nobody likes it. Nobody's happy with that.
Whereas this would kind of codify it and lean back into Magic being that sort of crit chance build, which I think we maybe got a bit away from with the new aspect that came out with 110 and the spells that they, or rather the set effect that they gave the tier 95 wands last summer.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that would be interested in that. And the final question, are there any cool items you'd like to see as part of the creation process of this armor?
Oh geez, that's a tough one.
Where'd we get sent to for the last one?
A good familiar black cat or something to show, you
want to sacrifice a cat to make your armor, you monster?
Yeah. What?
Is it gonna strap Bob's head to your armor? That's
you go to the witch. You got to go to the witch and steal a black.
I mean,
cat
Bob is dead in old school. Sorry, spoilers.
Well, it's okay. But Bob's dead in RS3 too. He's an Erebus.
When did that happen?
Wait for it. Is the penny going to drop? It's Zaros. Bob is Zaros.
Right.
Although, actually, that does make me think of something. The broomstick.
The broomstick?
From the Swept Away quest.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That'd be kind of
I still use that to teleport.
Yeah, it's a good teleport. That's a good Al-Kharid teleport.
The only problem is, because when you want to get to Al-Kharid, if you're doing clues and you've got your meerkats out, you've got to dismiss them if you want to use it. So it's...
Oh, really?
That's why I only use the Shanty Pass one on the...
Right.
I want to do some archaeology. Make it use an archaeology power from Caradat.
Ooh.
You know those
Inquisitor staff maybe, or Inquisitor.
Ooh.
Inquisitor staff maybe, but I was thinking along the line of the unfinished spell.
The phylactery?
No. The what is it called?
Oh, the spell scrolls?
Yeah, the spell scrolls.
Exsanguinate and those ones.
Yeah.
Which I mean, like we used one of those, I think, in the temple at Sentistan quest, but
we use a set because if you don't have them all, you can get them off Dr. Nambiak, and then you got to give them back to him later on. But that would be really good because that ties into another skill. I like that.
I don't know how they feel about putting an archaeology requirement behind it, but I feel like something from Caradat that is excavated might be interesting.
But that's not high level. It's like level 60-ish.
Well, it depends on which one is 107.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. No, I'm thinking of the lower ones, but yeah.
They do go up pretty high.
Yeah. But still, that would be... interesting.
Yeah, or even just, add a new temporary collection to it or something to the effect that you could just go and extract something.
Or what we could do is for the skillers, have one where you can combine all the scrolls, which make a tradable essence.
That would be neat. That's that would be the way to go for it. And then the question is, is 107 too high for that though? Because that's where Animate Dead 1 comes in.
That's okay, because it's a skillless thing. You want to make money skilling? You got to get your skill levels up, and 107 is not hard to get. The hardest part of archaeology is 60 to 80. Once you hit that 80, it's pretty much smooth sailing again.
All right.
That would be. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah. What do you think, Sir Jones?
Yeah, it's interesting. I do wonder how they would feel about tying into other skills, because I don't think.
That's the thing.
That's not really something that they've done with the other.
Have done it.
But they have tied in. Well, they're already tying farming into it.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's not even for the Masterwork magic armor. And Masterwork's supposed to be a feat, so it could work. Yeah, it could work. I'm going to thank some Patreon supporters, then we'll talk about urns again. This week in particular, big thank yous go out to Alvaro L, Amos Reed, Arvids L, Brayton K, Chilbura, Dominic R, Drama Free, Duramax, Gila Fleur, Hare A, Jade Gizmo, Jason S, Jesse W, Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Mongrath, Mr. T, Pernasius, Ricky A, Robbie D, Runestar, Samuel FL, Scott DS, Shirt Pants, Oasis, The Naked Captain, The Davin Goat, Tim, Ukulele Steve, Woody, Zant, and Zazakon. Big, huge thank you, everybody. We are presently polling the April monthly bit. I wasn't sure if we were gonna get that one done in time, given the fact we just put out the March monthly bit last week. But we do have some options that are running in the poll right now, and we will be able to deliver one of these in the next week or so. The choices are Archaeology 5 years later, Necromancy Combat Optimization, and RuneScape Ahead Expanded. And if you're interested in any of these topics, you want to hear the one that's complete, when it arrives, you can sign up at patreon.com for as little as $1 a month. And in doing so, you gain access to the entire back catalog of monthly bits. You also get the ability to vote on monthly bit topics when we do that. And of course, you get the satisfaction of supporting your favorite podcast and allowing us to continue what we do each and every week. We also do have the VIP tier, where for $3 a month, you'll receive a VIP rank on Discord, which includes a chat channel. You'll get a mention at the podcast at the start of the month and gain access to high-quality stereo versions of the show, in addition to everything else. And for $5 a month, you'll receive a shout-out on the podcast each and every week, and you'll gain exclusive access to the outtakes we use to make the clip show at the end of the year. And we also do have, of course, Experience tier, but that is presently full. So a big, huge thank you to all of our Patreon supporters for allowing us to do what we do here each and every week. It means the world to us. Thanks so much, everyone. Patreon.com/RSBANDB.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Let's talk about some urns then. Exquisite Urns. I was never a big urn user until I started the group Iron Man.
Yeah, I'm
and
not.
Even then, you still left a lot of the farming ones in there.
I know. I just always forget them. That's
I know.
Yeah.
And even on my main, I started using them, but it wasn't until I got my Brooch of the Gods to put them in there. So
I was going to say urns. I was the same on my main account until I got the Brooch of the Gods loaded up with 1,000 of each, and then you don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
But anyways, with these urns are made from levels 100 to 110 crafting. They require more XP to fill and give more XP than the decorated urns. So with that, they say, get ready to update your skilling presets and make room in your Brooch of the Gods. Regular clay won't be used, though. Exquisite Urns are made from a new porcelain clay, which will be mined at Everlight and is mineable with level 100 mining. So there, again, is another level 100 plus skill tie-in.
Another skill tie-in. And also, sort of a skill tie-in to archaeology. Not actually, but using the location,
Everlight.
which I really like. Always happy for an excuse to go back to Everlight.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's a pretty area. Yeah,
It's
I like it.
gorgeous.
Especially after the book.
The book.
The second book, Darkness of Halavale, or
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Right.
It's wasn't as good as the first one, but yeah,
Fair enough.
no spoilers. But
In addition to porcelain clay, and other runes like all the other urns, they'll need to have a gem inside them too, which they say is an easy gem for an expert crafter. So which gems should be used for each exquisite urn? That's the first question.
topaz or
Honestly, just use all of them because they all desperately need sinks.
yes,
We have too many gems.
Except
Too
Moonstone.
many gems floating around the economy.
anything up to diamond.
Even
Dragonstone. I would
Dragonstone,
venture to say it's easier to get Dragonstone than diamonds in game.
Yeah, but I like my I like my Dragonstones for my porters. So
even honestly, I wouldn't even complain if they use onyxes. Maybe not in urns. Maybe more in the
It's funny you mentioned that, Zerdones, because I was reading this passage on my first read through of it, and I thought, I could say Dragonstone's here, but in all honesty, I got a lot of onyx from PVM, so maybe onyx isn't too far to go.
They're all. I mean, onyx is more expensive, but pretty much every gem is at low alch value at this point. Onyx is the exception, but even onyx is cheap. Cheap as dirt.
Yeah, and that comes from its dust problem.
Yeah. Well, and also the fact that, like, if you really want to, it's guaranteed from Huracan fight caves, which is very easy. And they're pretty common from Zuck, which, even if you don't get all the way to Zuck, just the waves.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so I mean all of them, I guess. I don't know about, like the topaz and the opal and whatnot. I feel like those are maybe too low level. But I think all of the standard ones, if you could just, like put each one of them in the urn, that might be something to go.
Well,
but maybe onyx would be too much, because would you really want to sink one onyx per urn?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I said, up to diamond. Dragonstone.
Up to Dragonstone, I think, on that.
Well, we've got...
Go ahead.
Oh,
no, I was just going to say, the other thing, when they're saying it's going to give more XP, how is it going to compare to those... I can't remember the name of them. The urns we make in the in Anachronia, in that area. The weekly event thing.
Oh, the effigies.
Effigies, that's the one, yeah.
I would imagine, I mean, I don't know how effigies compare to urns. I would expect higher because
I feel like the effigies were like 10, 20% more than the urns. I
think effigies were 20% more.
Because effigies, that's like a tier, that's like a level 85 activity. You need 85 to unlock that.
So it would have to be a magnitude more than that then.
I would expect it to be more.
Yeah. The hot question, what skills should have urns that don't have urns? As a refresher right now, there are urns for cooking, divination, farming, fishing, hunter, mining, prayer, smithing, and woodcutting.
And rune crafting. Well, the two that jump out at me as being missing are archaeology and crafting. Craft a crafting urn.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I don't think we need an archaeology urn, but a crafting urn would be nice.
Yeah, I kind of don't want an archaeology urn because I feel like archaeology still gets upset whenever you add more XP into the skill.
Yeah, archaeology is kind of in a weird place in that respect. Yeah.
Archaeology perfectly balanced for general play. It even ruins it when you do it on double XP.
I'm going to say agility and herblore. Two skills that I would happily use urns for on my Iron Man. Agility and herblore.
How conceptually does an agility urn work? Like, how does that walk me through the metaphor?
It's like a pedometer, a step tracker.
Okay.
As you run agility courses.
Okay, counting your steps. All right.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah. Like if we were to just put like a quick thing on there, right? It would be like a pedometer. As for the Herblore one, you spill a little bit of each potion you make into the urn, and then when it's full, away goes the urn, right?
And then you just chug.
Yeah, that's an option. But yeah, those are mine, and they feel kind of obvious looking at it now.
Yeah, they're three. I'd go crafting, herblore, agility.
What about you, Sir Don'ts?
Oh, I did mine. Archaeology and crafting.
Archaeology and crafting. Okay. Yeah, crafting.
Well, crafting urn sounds weird.
And that is
a notable absence.
That is the kind of tongue-in-cheek thing you could see them do.
Yeah. It works.
And then does exquisite sound like the right term, or should it be something else like perfect or marvelous?
No, exquisite sounds better than those two.
I think exquisite is the best of the three.
I agree. I like exquisite. It's a fun word.
It is, and the other ones just kind of don't fit in terms
marvelous
of what you
doesn't know.
what you imagine for crafting.
Marvelous, darling.
Yeah. And perfect. I don't like things being called perfect because you can always do better.
All right. And then the final, one of the final sections here, platinum jewelry and anklets. Anklets. That's a new feature. It's a jewelry item that's worn in the boot slot or the foot slot.
Yeah.
So they're not going to give us an ankle slot now. They're just
No.
RuneScape ankle bracelets. A new way to track track all the stalkers.
Well, we're definitely going to need that when 110 Thieving comes out. The next skill will be policing.
Attainable with level 100 mining is a new platinum rock that gives platinum ore, which smelts into platinum bars that then start this new jewelry at level 100 plus crafting. The new jewelry acts as the highest level of jewelry, so you can have a platinum ring, platinum necklace, bracelet, amulet, and of course the anklet. And of course the anklet goes in the boot slot. Now, everybody's here, of course, for the enchanted jewelry because, why would you wear a jewelry item in RS if it wasn't enchanted? So, This is where this discussion begins. What effects should each of these pieces of enchanted jewelry have? Which is a big one. This is perhaps the biggest reward space of this 110 update because you have ring, necklace, bracelet, amulet, and anklet. 5 spots to fill.
Yeah, it's a massive. Like this is the core design question of this entire.
And it also leaves the most room for brainstorming, I think.
Yeah, we could probably do an entire episode just on this question.
All right, well let's drill down a bit. Let's start with the simplest one, the ring, the platinum ring.
I mean, I think the ring
generally used as teleports.
Yeah, there are exceptions though, like Ring of Recoil, for instance. But
yeah. And that's it. Should they be like a new combat style? You're not going to replace your essence of finality, but for a ring.
Oh, that was a
conversation.
Specifically type,
There was a conversation in the RSBANDB Discord about someone, I don't remember who it was now, didn't want, I think it was Thaxi, didn't want more combat buffs. Actually, I'm going to check that so I don't misattribute.
Well, that was going to be what I was going to say. I was going to say, you look at all the other kind of gold jewelry we have, aside from Hydrix, I was going to say, why not make all these combat-based?
Well, I mean, I think I do think there can be room for some combat buffs in some of these. I wouldn't do it in rings because I feel like rings.
The ring slot is a heavy slot for PVM.
We got a lot of rings going on. We got a lot of bling. People are already people have been talking for years about wanting a second ring slot. Just go Mr.
Offhand
T.
ring.
Just go full Mr. T. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. Teleport makes sense, but we have so many teleports. Do we need more?
I mean, yeah, we need better teleports around Anachronia. That's a bitch to get around.
Yeah, Anachronia sucks.
We just got 2 with one.
Even with all your agility course unlocked, it's still a bitch to get around. And that's what I was sort of thinking. If you could have a ring that you could sort of imbue to the different hunter sites, one to do all the Rexes, one, and then you can select which Rex, that type of thing. I'd love to see something like that. Whether a platinum jewelry is the spot for that,
Wouldn't that basically be what the hunter skilling outfit does? The trapper outfit?
Not to the what's it called? The Degrada Rexes and all that, I don't think.
Oh, it doesn't go to the big game hunter? Okay.
No.
Okay,
no,
fair
it
enough.
takes you to all your Chinchompa sites and everything, but yeah, not the other ones.
Okay.
All right. What about like a kind of intermediary luck ring between Luck of the Dwarves and Ring of Wealth? I know adding an extra level of luck.
A tip 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, how would you...
Yeah.
I know that would probably be difficult behind the scenes, but that was the first thing that just came up in my mind. The other
thing...
I
mean, one's made with a Dragonstone, one's made with an Onyx. It's like...
The other thing I was thinking is kind of just like the base entry-level item for this is just make the Platinum Ring a ring about reducing the miscut chance when you're crafting the new armor.
Yeah, I was just having that thought too. Whether it be a ring would make sense because we have a crafting amulet, even though I don't know if it gets used very much. But
yeah,
I do.
You use it? Oh, that's good. That's good.
Well, it's 3% because on the hardcore or the group Iron Man, we don't have access to the artisan's outfit.
Oh, okay.
That's blocked from us. So the 3% off that is a nice little boost.
Yeah,
no, that's fair.
So that's what I would do. That's what I think you would do for the ring. And then you can do your hunter's teleporting necklace burn in the for the necklace item, because that's kind of like an extension of the Dragonstone skills necklace, right?
Yep.
And then I want to use the amulet slot for a combat space. And
the problem with that is, okay, I'll let you go first.
I want to provide a combat reward space that is horizontal to the essence of finality, to the point where somebody who isn't necessarily an endgame, high-level, lean-forward PVMer can take some benefit from this. And the thing that I would like to do is to implement that charging aspect that we had in the beta last summer. Make a necklace that rewards you for not switching weapons or armor. And effectively, if you don't switch weapons or armor for a certain amount of time, you get just a straight up flat damage boost to all the damage you're putting out.
You won me. I was going to say no way, but you just won me.
It's basically a perk to not switch weapons or armor in combat.
Love it.
At the expense of the utility of the switches, because let's be real, there is utility in switches that you can provide, right? Especially when it comes to melee and the other combat styles that are there. And the idea behind putting this in the neck slot as an amulet is you displace that EOF. So it's horizontal to the EOF, and it's accessible to people who aren't necessarily farming all the Reaper points each and every day to get those Hydrixes and build the EOF.
It's an intriguing idea. It's definitely very niche, which isn't a bad thing.
But for someone like me, that is absolutely perfect. I don't switch. Pure and simple, I don't switch. So that type of idea would really appeal to older players like myself who aren't into that sweaty switching type gameplay.
And this was inspired by something that's in ESO, the Elder Scrolls Online. They have a legendary ring over there, and what it effectively does is it makes it so you can't bar switch between your two action bars, and in doing so, you get a suite of buffs and just a general damage increase for it. And it makes it so that effectively you can play a one-button character if you really wanted to in that game. And, we're not going to that same level here, but what it is doing is it effectively kills Switchscape, and it gives you a bit of a modest damage boost, though not too much, but enough that you would be able to feel it.
Well, it doesn't actually kill Switchscape, but it gives other players options and will probably open the game up wider to players like myself who can't go and sit there and Switchscape and everything, But if I can get, if I get something that's, obviously it's not going to be quite as good as damage by not switching, but I can make up for a lot of that by having that type of thing. I really think you're onto something.
It would be no switches whatsoever. It would be no armor switches, no weapon switches, no ring switches, no jewellery switches.
Yep. The only time I have ever switched is when I was doing Dagonoth Kings.
Yeah.
It's the only time I've ever switched.
There's a very small number of players that actively punish you for not switching. Dagonoth Kings is one of them. Archglacier used to be until Bone Shields came out, basically.
Which is an entirely different discussion we could have on how defenses work and whatnot. But save that for a different day.
Yeah, defensives are a whole other problem, but yeah.
Okay. Anklets.
I mean,
anklet, I think, would be an interesting space to do something combat-based.
Oh, interesting.
The reason I say that is because combat boots are in kind of a weird place where there's very little competition for the Raksha boots. The dinosaur boots, what are they called? Laceration boots.
Right. Unless you're doing necromancy, then you have a choice between
unless you're doing necromancy,
the tank boots, the power boots, or the tier 95 boots.
Yeah, or the first necromancer boots. So yeah, I mean, I think it would be because there's a problem where you add that kind of horizontal stuff in combat where that's the root of where Switchscape comes from that you were just complaining about. It comes from the fact that there are multiple things in one slot that are all beneficial. So why can't I just have all of them? And so you just have all of them. But at the same time, I do think it's kind of boring that there's just one boot. Whatever style you're doing, you've got your one boot. You always know what you're going to have in your one boot. And you can see an attempt at diversification with ranged armor, like the Dracolich versus Sirenic.
Yeah.
And I seem to remember something from, not that this is turning to the RuneFest panels show, but I seem to remember something from the combat panel, the RuneFest combat panel, about how they liked that and they wanted to do more of that.
Yeah.
So,
and, that actually leads into the second question. Should the anklet follow the existing jewelry effects, or should it do something niche? And if you wanted to do something niche, what you could effectively do is you could make the anklets a piece of hybrid or all armor, and then have them be a modifier to an existing set out there. Have it be a wildcard set to complete any of the sets that we were just talking about. whether it be first Necromancer, the Dracolix, or the Serenic, or what have you.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think the fact they're asking the question about, should it be niche or should it fit in with the other ones, I think that is a reason for it to be here at this level 100 crafting point, is that it could be indeed niche for that.
Sure.
Barefoot warrior.
So, initially I was thinking anklet again, maybe something on the agility front for some reason, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, that kind of thematically makes sense because agility is tied very much to like Silverhawks.
Yeah. And did I read something about that either in Clan Quest or the Discord as well, that there could be some form of enhanced Silverhawks or something to the effect with this anklet? Or was I dreaming that? I don't know.
I'm not going to say you were dreaming it. I don't remember seeing anything like that.
Okay. But I think agility is a good option if it wasn't something combat related. But I think if you're going to do something like the anti-switch amulet, that needs to be in the next slot to compete with the EOF. So maybe you do some hybrid or all piece if you go niche for the anklet. I don't know. But I think there's some ideas there. Anybody have anything else idea-wise before we move on to question 3?
No.
No.
As I said, I was dead set against your next slot one, but you sold me totally on that.
Should any of these be charge-based?
Yes.
I think everything we talked about
level,
here could be charge-based at this level.
Yeah. At that level, yes.
Because it all feeds into this.
Recharge them with gems.
Because it all
sync gems.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. It all feeds back into that platinum gem space, I think, at this point. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
All of them.
I mean, I wouldn't even necessarily be opposed to them degrading to dust, because, like, jewelry, like, the lower level jewelry, it's all worthless. Because there's so much of it in the economy.
Yeah.
Once you make one, you never have a reason to get more.
And then if it was degrade to dust, that provides a nice cycle on the crafting, mining, and smithing bit, which didn't exist before, which again gives something to crafting at this high level, finally.
Yeah.
Yep. Charge or to dust, yep.
These are currently slated to use Dragonstone as the gem ingredient. Based on what we've been talking about and the need to sync gems, I think that's the right spot.
So forget my thing about keeping your jade.
Yeah, I was going into this thinking Dragonstone seems low, and I would go for like Onyx. But I think if it's going to degrade and be recharged with gems, then yeah, Onyxes are maybe not quite common enough.
And Onyx is presently still just hovering about 1 mil.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So it's above Alk value. I think Alk is like 900. Or is it 700?
Onyx, Alk is... A cut Onyx is 180k.
Oh, wow. That's a lot lower than I thought it would. Okay.
Yeah. The uncut Onyx Alk value is... It's the 1 mil for the uncut that you were thinking of.
Right. That's right, yeah. Because I knew the uncut is weird.
Yeah, and right now, actually... 1 mil, 64,431 on the exchange. 1 mil, 80,000 high elk for an Onyx. So,
okay, low elk. Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe Onyx isn't a bad push on this.
I
don't know. I feel like there's just a huge stigma attached with Onyx compared to, where all the Onyx comes from in PVM, that I feel like Dragonstone is the easier thing to talk about.
Yeah. It definitely is. I think my resistance is primarily that I think it's kind of weird for level 100 jewelry to be enchanted with level 5 enchant jewelry, which is like a level 60 spell, I think.
Right. And I think level 6 enchant is 87 magic.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. enchantment spells. Level 5 enchant is level 68. Level 6 enchant is 87.
Okay.
So yeah, Moonstone and Dragonstone are 68. Onyx and Hydrix is 87. I think it's a little weird. Like, that seems low for a level 100
It does.
crafting output.
Okay. Well, I feel like this was perhaps the most interesting part of this discussion, just because of all the potential theory crafting for it. So let us know what you guys think about this, if any of these resonate with you. And then just in closing, they have a bunch of quality life updates as well that go in with these 110s. So with this, the shortlist contains updates like lowering Ganodermic's crafting level to a more appropriate level, which we talked about earlier, potentially removing the chance to crush gems and simply making it an optional action, even when doing away with the R, and even doing away with R and NR on urn names to make them clearer to read. And then they open it up to feedback in the RCE blogs and the RCE dev questions channel in the Discord.
Removing crushing gems would be my number one. That is such a stupid mechanic.
Oh yeah, it burnt me on my early crafting on the group Iron Man. Just, at the gem rocks, crush.
Yep.
I should say I don't necessarily mind that it exists as a mechanic in its entirety, because it does make the lesser gems kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But like, I'm 99 crafting. Why am I crushing opals?
Right.
I am the god of crafting. I should not be destroying these gems.
Yeah. Fair.
I mean, even if they had it, you slip and fail to cut, but your gem's still there.
Okie dokie. Yeah. Any final thoughts on 110 craftings? Right-click examine here. Should be getting this.
I'm looking forward to it. So yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think it'd be as early as June, so that's actually. I mean, I know they said that on the roadmap, but I hadn't really heard a lot about it, so I wasn't expecting them.
It's always a good thing for me when I come into these things being more excited about them after going back and forth with you guys on them. Even the things that we just theory crafted and just talking about the armor, I think helps. So
yeah.
Yep.
Alrighty. Patch notes this week. Quest quality of life, courtesy of Maud Shrike. Starting off, the Journal of Fel Arneson, first read out at RuneFest 2018, has been added as a drop from the Archglacier in the Elder God Wars dungeon, along with an associated Master Questcape achievement. The Lorehound bonus applies. And that's when we first heard about the Elder God Wars dungeon, was RuneFest 2018. Obviously wasn't realized until a while after.
I understand this is something that they wanted to add to the Archglacier initially, but it got lost. I think they must have cut it for time or something for the initial release, and then they never got back to it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think I heard that Mod Raven had it on his backlog for a while, but he just never got around to it, never had time.
Yeah, and then he left Jagex for a bit, and then came back, and he's working on the survival game now, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right. But Mod Strike took up the mantle.
Now, the interesting part about this is that it apparently wasn't working on hard mode this week.
Yeah, I saw. I didn't, because I went into zero mechanic, and I figured I was just going to AFK for a while until I got it. But yeah, I heard from a couple of people, and I saw on the subreddit that it's not dropping in hard mode. And I think pretty sure that's a bug. I think it's meant to drop in hard mode. But I haven't heard any explicit information.
Screw all your hard modes. Just do it normal like the rest of us.
Well, see, and that's the thing. If you get to 15 kills and you don't get it, it's a guaranteed drop. And if you're under 15, it's just a 1 in 10. So it is common. It's common enough that you can just, like you said, AFK it and you'll get it.
And the Lorehound applies whatever chance increase that gives. I mean, it's a 1 in 10. So. And yeah, 15 kills at 0 Mechanic Archglacior is not hard.
Okay, well, that lore hound is very handy if you're chasing the lore drops in archaeology, though.
He's a good boy.
He is a very good boy.
It
does not help with your bloody pickaxe pieces in Demon High that you need, though.
No, it doesn't do that.
Bloody stupid mutt.
The Age Journal found in the Daemonheim dig site has been added to the Master Quest Cape and the player-owned house bookshelf.
Yeah, this is the...
That's the one you just pick up in the corner, right?
Yeah, yep. It's the one that tells you how to make the Hypno Wand. The Hunter offhand.
Which some people just totally missed on launch day.
Yep. Well, nothing told you about it. It wasn't advertised, basically at all.
No, it was very much find your own way.
Which is fine, but anyway.
Rebuilding Edgeville is now started by talking with Vinaka in Edgeville rather than Mandrith in the deep wilderness.
That
Good
makes
fix.
sense.
Good fix.
Yeah. Because Mandrith, of course, got moved there with the wilderness rework.
Yeah, Mandrith moved. Edgeville got a little too pricey, too bougie for him.
It's funny. The trapdoor entrance to the prison in Fort 4 and 3 now appears as non-interactable scenery prior to the Battle of 4 and 3.
Good.
One.
The human and werewolf guards in the Paterdomus basement now only appear after you've finished River of Blood. You know, I'm going to say I never noticed that there were both human and werewolf guards there after the fact.
Neither did I.
Really? Actually, I shouldn't be surprised by that. I remember Quest Caping was streaming this on release day, and me and a couple of other people were following it along doing that. And he noticed it because their overhead dialogue popped up while he was doing the quest. But I do know several people who, just completely missed them. Because you're only down there for like a second in the quest.
Right.
In,
River of Blood was 2016.
Well, they were added in as an address quest.
Oh.
Because the purpose, I think Mod Jack talked about this in one of his live streams, I think, where the intent was because they wanted to show how Mauritania had progressed from the 6th age, because River of Blood is a 5th age quest, and we hadn't really explored how that it ends in kind of an interesting political situation, and we had never really seen how that developed. So they wanted to throw something in. They were like, "Oh, we're going to be down in Paterdomus anyway. We'll throw this in." But yeah, it does create a weird situation if you're doing Priest in Peril. Like before this week, if you're just doing Priest in Peril for the first time, or if you just finished Priest in Peril and you're going through to Mauritania for the first time, like, oh, there's these guards talking about how the vampires and the humans are getting along now. Spoilers.
Yeah. That's that weird kind of break back and forth about what you wind up with in the hybrid 5th age, 6th age scenario.
Yeah, and like this is an easy one. I don't want to say easy. It's a relatively easy one to fix compared to some of the others. Yeah. So it's a good fix.
Bianca's grave in the main game world after the relevant scene in Ancient Awakening now appears.
That's nice. I like that. It's a nice little touch.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was missing, but okay. And then I checked the wiki for these, and I did a quick search on the Discord to see if anybody had highlighted what they are yet. But minor dialogue tweaks to Merlin Crystal to make the Lady of the Lake simpler to find were put in, as well as minor dialogue tweaks in the temple at Sentistan to clarify who hired the assassin in Devious Minds.
Devious Minds lore in 2025.
Right.
That's what we wanted.
Okay. And see, here's the thing. I remember doing Devious Minds back in the day, and the question of who that assassin was with the bow sword was always something that I wanted to be resolved. And now I'm wondering if we have some information about this in the temple at Sentistan that clarifies this, or what specifically this was. But I haven't been able to find what the exact lore is yet. And the reason I partially highlight this is that the follow-up from Devious Minds, in particular the Assassin and the Bowsword and whatnot, that makes an appearance in Old School's Secrets of the North quest, which is instrumental for carrying their Majorat storyline going forward.
Deep cut.
So they went a very interesting way with that. So I'm kind of interested to see where this goes and if there's any kind of similar connotations involved in this one in particular here.
Have either of you guys done Temple at St. Distant on the group Iron Man?
I have not.
Oh, yeah.
So it will be an
know.
opportunity for me to see that in the future.
All right.
Yeah, you're saying River of Blood was 2006. I said, no, it wasn't. It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, right.
That's funny.
Right.
Temple at St. Distant was 2009. Or how many weeks ago was that?
That was an early one. I got that one done. So.
Yeah, for the curses.
Yes.
Okay. And dialogue tweaks to Tree Gnome Village, Ghost Ahoy, and minor tweaks for Sir Tiffy in Avoid Dance. We're done.
Yeah.
Fair
I
enough.
just did Avoid Dance last weekend.
That was the annoying one, wasn't it?
I think that's the series. I mean, I don't mind the series, but yeah, the tracking and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Is like,
We're going to talk about an annoying quest and maybe my least favorite quest now in the game in the What Have We Been Doing section. So on this topic of quests, stay tuned, everybody.
Oh, boy.
Dan's got a new least favorite quest.
The VFX has been added to the Masterwork staff. That was missing.
What is VFX?
Visual effects.
Okay.
Particles, I think.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Or
Yeah, I
the
read that
smoke.
and I go, I don't know what VFX means, so it's probably something I haven't missed.
Yeah, no.
Fixed an issue that caused Araxi to die immediately upon spawning in, thanks to highlighting this one out to Pup and Finna.
I watched that video. It was kind of interesting. Apparently never knew about this. Apparently this has been a thing for years, and no one's ever been able to figure out exactly what caused it.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
But they figured it out now.
They figured it out now. You say it would be awesome. It's not hard, from what I understand, it's not hard to trigger, but it's kind of weird. Apparently what it is
Also bug abuse, so...
Well, yeah, apparently the way it's bug abuse,
Is it
but
though
no
when
one
you
knew
can
how
one
to
tick Rise of
recreate
the
it.
Six?
No. Is what? Is it bug abuse to one tick Rise of the Six?
No.
I don't know.
No,
Probably.
it's not.
The way the Araxi skip works is, as I understand it, and I could be misunderstanding because this is kind of like high-level PVM stuff, high-level combat mechanic stuff, but you need to have soul split. You need to be soul splitting and kill Araxor's phase 3 with a damage over time. Basically what needs to happen is he needs to die and then take damage during the phase animation.
Okay.
And then take damage again after the phase animation completes. Because Araxor has this mechanic where if you soul split, he soul splits back at you. So he will heal a little bit from doing damage to you. So if you
How
can...
rude of him. He didn't get his prayer up to be able to do that.
It's very cruel. It's very mean. I don't even know what god he prays to, but...
Exactly.
God
We
of
got to find the
spiders.
god of the spider people.
Patron god of Australia.
He's under Ayers Rock.
So if you're soul splitting, if you do a damage over time to kill him, then he will heal a little. If you time it exactly right, and it's like it has to be tick perfect, he will go down to 0, but he'll heal on the same tick. So he'll have a little bit of health, but he'll still he'll still trigger the death animation, and then he'll take damage during the phase transition, which will bring him down to 0. And then I think he takes damage the next tick after that. So I think what probably happens is it probably confuses the state transition algorithm. So it queues up a death effect because the transition between phase 3 and phase 4 does do like animation stalling because you can't like move during it during like a forced animation. So I think what probably happens is it queues up a death transition, and then once the animation ends, that gets loaded up and it just insta-kills Araxi. And now they fixed it, so now you know how to do it. You can't use it.
Yeah. And that's the best time to tell people.
Absolutely.
Yep. And, you know, I mean, it completely defeated the purpose of the boss, so it's not something that you probably would want to
Yeah, it's not a...
No.
Yeah.
This isn't something people are farming.
Yeah. Players can now toggle the messages they see regarding combat achievement progress, failures, and eligibility, even if they have already completed the achievement. This can be found within settings, gameplay, notifications, content updates, achievement failure, progress, and eligibility messaging, where you can set your preferences.
So Shane, you can turn off you've got all the Master Farmer outfit pieces that I can't make for you.
Well, this is for combat achievements. That's not that.
Oh, it's only okay.
Yeah, this is for the like if, for example, the
it would be like the one at
mole.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the giant mole achievements is you have to use a stun on her, which you can only do if she does a certain special attack. If you do that stun, you'll get a little message in your chat box saying you are eligible for whatever the achievement is. And then
I remember chasing it,
it'll pop the achievement. So what this does is you can set this so if you have the achievement, you won't get that message anymore. Or if you do, well, that's the default. But if you do want that message for whatever reason, you can turn it back on.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. And you know, I thought some of the things like that were actually needed when combat achievements came out. So it's good to see.
They're kind of interesting things to just see.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can do them.
Absolutely. There's the patch notes for the week. We also this week have to discuss the new Golden Gear monetization package, which is 2 weeks in a row for monetization items. Huh. Interesting, isn't it?
Cosmetic bundles for real dollars.
Yeah. So what you get is you get a collection of golden items. So you got small, medium, and large golden bundles. The small one grants you cosmetics including the golden dragonwing scimitar, the golden offhand dragon scimitar. The medium ones give you the mage set, and the large ones for $49.99 or $44.99, 44 pounds and 99
45 pounds.
45 pounds.
$50.
You get golden Torva, the full set, the full golden mage set, the golden dragonwing scimitar, and one golden cosmetic token, which allows you to pick from the golden cosmetic token store.
Yeah, any one existing.
Yeah, basically any of the golden outfits that are there. So golden war priest, golden armadillo, golden god sword. From
all the ones that are
from all the raffles
things
and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it's the God Swords, it's all the Barrow sets, it's all the God Wars 1 sets, except for Nax. Or it's Armadillo, Bandos, Subjugation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's the War Priest sets.
Now,
but not the Tuskas.
Now throw back to last week. Last week on the show we discussed where Jagex microtransaction purchases are realized, and cosmetics are realized over the lifetime of your account. Consumables.
Sorry.
Consumables are realized at the instant you purchase them. So in each of these packages here, there's a collection of consumables. Huh, interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, That's the other thing. You also get a whole bunch of XP items.
Stars, knowledge bombs,
that I don't mind.
proteans, and the like. Of course, only for mains.
And the medium and large, also you get umbral chests.
Yeah. So is this 2 weeks in a row? Is this kind of a field test of a new monetization scheme for the game?
Does kind of feel that way.
With first the Sands of Time thing that you could just buy out with bonds, and now this that is direct purchase for cosmetic and consumables.
Oh yeah, I wasn't even thinking about the Shifting Sands. This is actually the third week in a row.
Yeah, well, Shifting Sands ran for 2 weeks, so.
Yeah. I'm thinking
Shifting Sands came out last week. It's running right now. So,
it's running right now.
So 2 weeks.
So March 10th was the Black Celestial pack. March 17th was Shifting Sands. March 24th is the Golden bundle. So this is now 3 weeks of direct purchase cosmetics.
Again, Golden Sands one I don't mind because you can still earn it in game. These cosmetics, if it was just a straight cosmetics that hadn't been earnable in game, I spent a lot of time chasing around getting those tickets, going back to try and get my golden barrows, and I think I've got all the sets bar one now. Now someone can just turn around and buy it. It's.
But
they had to put a lot of money in to do that.
$50, you get one golden cosmetic ticket. So in theory, if you wanted to buy this out, you could buy this package numerous times.
You need to buy.
Never mind. They're one-time purchases only.
Oh,
okay.
They're available as one-time purchases. Okay.
So it's a one. Okay, sorry.
Myself.
I was thinking the top tier one gave them all. So that's only one. That's fine.
Yeah.
If
it's cosmetics, I don't care.
Right.
And as in the extra consumables,
if this was something that I liked the look of for my main, I would be getting the full package, the large one.
Yeah. For me, for Australian dollars, that's like $140.
Oh my god!
That's So it's like no, thank you. Yeah, because actually, it would be about that because I think we're about 48 cents to 48 pence. We're at the moment thereabouts. So what's that? 50? It'd be about $108, $110 Australian, which is a bit steep, but still, people want it. Great. You want to do this? What I do like in the consumables, it's not, it's not overly so. It's not just lamps. It is stars, so it's just a bit of double XP. That's no problem.
Knowledge bombs and skill crates.
Now the $1 million question
I
is,
have no issues.
It was noted to me that I used the term $1 million question a lot last week. Is how does this compare to one of the cash cow treasure hunter promos like smoldering lamps, rainbow, or Christmas wrapping paper? In terms,
I like this much better than those. But yeah, I'd like to know how much it did bring in for them. But I like these a lot better than just buying lamps. Oh, we'll never know. No,
we'll never know for sure. We'll know when we get their 2025 financials.
Which at this rate will be 2027.
Yeah,
unless Elon answers my tweet to him where I ask him to buy Jagex and put me in charge, then we'll never know. He's throwing other money around for crap. Let him do something for me.
Let him do something for literally anyone.
I won a golden Bandos God Sword back in the day for one of the raffles, and when I logged in this week, I got a notification that it had been removed, and they moved it. Or at least they added a cosmetic version of it into the removed. Store.
Yeah.
But there's a cosmetic You do still have the item, but they granted you the cosmetic override.
Yeah. I thought that was neat, and I appreciate that without needing to use a ring coin for it if I ever wanted to use it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I like the fact that they've made it an override rather than just an item now too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. It was also we got also a minor update on the player support front, which is interesting because we don't really hear from these folks too often here for it. And there was the survey we took in December about player support and the feedback there. 89% said that they'd value receiving confirmation when your cheating reports lead to an action. So they're able to report this week that they've delivered on the first step of this improvement ahead of schedule rather than waiting for the full player support improvements roadmap next month. With that, from today onwards, that was this past Monday, whenever your macroing/botting report has been reviewed and actioned, you'll receive an inbox message directly to your message center. This is an initial rollout for macroing reports, and they'll closely be monitoring feedback as they look to expand the system to cover additional types of cheating reports in the future. They say this is an ongoing part of the commitment to making the world of Gielinor fairer, safer, and more enjoyable to everybody, and they specifically highlight the recent Q&A with Mod North that there's more on the way later this year. Now, you and I, Zerdonis, had a very interesting discussion about this.
Yeah, I mean, like this is a pretty small thing, and I think honestly, the fact that there's going to be a player support roadmap next month is almost a bigger news than the actual update. But the update itself is still nice because, like, player support is one of the things that people always complain about. Like, player support sucks.
It got memed, just like QA did.
Yeah, exactly. And like, there's a lot of facets to that. The fact, like, customer support in general is its own can of worms. But macroing, like, in-game reports have a really difficult problem where Jagex does action them. They have to, because, like, the reasons you would report someone are reasons that are actively destructive to the game. They are huge negative externalities. Jagex wants to tamp down on all those behaviors. The problem is and with macroing reports in particular, oftentimes, like, there's a huge gap between sending a report in and that report being actioned. So, you'll see someone who you think is botting. You have a pretty good idea that they're botting. You'll report them. You'll probably never see them again, just because, like, you maybe don't go back to where they are. You will never know if that leads to anything. And it does, but it doesn't happen immediately. Because Jagex, A, they have to review the report, and B, they're not super interested in tamping down on individual bots. They want to go after the bot nets. They want to go after the bot makers. Yeah. So they'll take those reports, they'll track the bots, and they'll try to identify who's behind them, and then they'll do mass bans.
Yeah, my thing with this was that, I feel this is almost a bigger update for old school than RS3, because I'm trying to remember the last time I saw a bot on RS3.
I don't remember exactly when it was, but I saw one. I saw a materials bot in the Ancient Throne Room. That was probably 2 years ago. It was well after Archaeology came out, I know that. That's probably the last one I remember. I remember being confident in.
Right, and that kind of makes sense for Archaeology because it's not, this material does disappear quick, and if you can have an army gathering that for you, you help a main, or it's a very predictable. It's a very predictable pattern. Like, exactly. It's very easy to script. And this raises the question too. We were talking about this as well. Is that, there's bots in old school, a fairly substantial portion of them for it, and the question is always, what portion of the numbers that we see shown as being, old school player records are bots. Now, in leagues or something like that's happening, those spikes are real, but if you look at the average, users every day in old school, how many of those are bots? And
40%.
I think it's less than that. Honestly.
It is. I'm being facetious.
Like, if I had to guess a number, I'd say 10 to 15.
Yeah.
Um,
Realistically, I'd
and,
say, yeah.
And the thing is that even if there are bots in old school, it doesn't really feel like they're a problem because they keep the value of GP up, interestingly enough.
Yeah,
Because
we were
they bring
talking about this,
resources in.
Right. They have basically like in RS3 we have a lot of economic problems. One of our economic problems is that resources enter the game at an astonishing rate through PVM. And in old school has PVM, but not to the same degree. So bots kind of fill that niche by doing skilling at the rate RS3 players do PVM.
And
so that keeps resource costs low.
And, in all of my old school playing, leveling up to the mid-70s, I really haven't felt an impact of bots. So that's always interesting, to consider. Whereas on the other hand, on RS3, like you said, the copious amounts of stuff that come into the game comes from PVM. And, I mean, magic logs, level 75 items, still very difficult to cut on old school. About 1,000 GP for magic logs, which I think is a good price. So, I don't know.
About 142 GP on ours. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yeah.
So you look at this and you say, well, it's an interesting thing to talk about in the RS3 news post, but maybe this is something more centric to old school.
Well, magic
but
logs
it's still
are about
nice to know.
800 in RS3.
How much?
They're 792.
Okay, they've gone up. They were about 390-ish.
Yeah, it looks like they've gone up a
years
little
ago,
bit
but yeah.
Back half of the last couple of years, but
yeah.
But it's that same kind of economic effect.
Yeah, and it's not bad at the end of the day, and I think it's just a good thing to be able to talk about. So, well done to Jagex, and like you said, Sir Jones, the bigger news is that we're getting a player support roundup next month,
which I'm sure will be very interesting to talk about.
Watch that be the first thing we discuss in April, because that next week is the first April show.
Yeah, but next week is no, not next week. Sorry, week after that is Quest Week. Yeah, could be next week.
Yeah.
But hey, don't forget your April Fools. April Fools this year too. Yes.
Oh yeah, Tuesday.
Don't miss out on that.
I've already been looking on that, and I don't think they beat last year's bench sitting skill.
That was funny.
Skill.
I did like collecting the mods for the player-owned farm though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's the player support update. After that, we go into what have we been doing. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, you can go first, Adones.
Okay, I have good news. So
I can. Oh, really?
I can.
What do we got? What's the good news?
Horrible news. So my boss logging has been going very well. I finished the krill log this week on Sunday. So about 3391, I got the pet. Almost 1,600 hard mode kills, which is brutal.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, krill is, in my mind, the easiest of the hard modes, or at least the least annoying of the hard modes. But that was a lot of hard mode. But that's done. I'm free of God Wars 1, at least until I go back to Nex. But I'm on to Corp, and I was expecting Corp to be brutal. And Corp may still be brutal. But for now, I'm 1100 KC, 6 of 7 for log. Want to guess what I'm missing?
One of the shields?
Correct. Divine Sigil.
Okay.
So I got the pet. I actually got the pet just this afternoon. Just shy of 1100.
That is some insane RNG to be able to... What were you at when you started it?
Like 200 or 300, I think.
No, I mean for how many log items?
2. Spirit Shield and Elixir.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
I've had 5 sigil drops in 1100 KC.
That's awesome.
It makes me afraid because sigil drops suck. Like sigil, the way sigil drops work, they're a 1 in 512 drop just to get on the table, and then it's a 1 in 5, a
For which
secondary
one
1
you
in
get?
5 roll. You have a 2 in 5 chance to get the spectral, 1 in 5 chance for any of the others. So spectral sigils are effectively 1 in 1280. The other 3 are each respectively or effectively 1 in 2560. I've had 2 spectrals, 2 arcanes, and 1 Elysian. So in 1100 KC, I'm afraid.
You burnt up all your RNG.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 100K dry on the.
I mean, you
sigil.
could, given the fact you roll these out, and for the divine, you're looking at like 1 in 2,500.
And it's entirely random. It's entirely random. There's no bad luck mitigation on them. It's very unlikely, but it's certainly possible to genuinely go 100,000 kill dry.
You just must be terrified about that.
It's not great. I mean, the good news is that Corp is actually very easy.
Yeah.
Corp is like I'm like 99% AFK. So I can pretty much just like sit and let it run, and every so often I'll come in and click my Excalibur or my
Necromancy, I assume.
No, melee.
Oh, okay.
I'm using the tier 92 spear and the vestments of Havoc, the Zamorak armor.
Very nice. Very nice.
Getting about 60 kills an hour, so it's going pretty quick. But yeah, that last sigil.
It's just
scared.
sitting there, haunting you.
Haunting me, yeah.
Well, let us know when you get it. I'm expecting a big Discord notification when you do.
Oh, yes. It'll be there. It might not be there for another 6 months to a year, but we'll see.
I hope you're not there for that long.
So do I.
Wow, what have I been doing? I was on another quest push last week. I did Darkness of Hallovale, and then I did Darkness of Hallovale again on Old School. Same quest, exactly the same. I did one small favor. I basically been knocking out that entire list of goals that I set up for back in January, and I only have a couple things left on that list. Fairy Tale Part 3, and then
which surprised me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, see, the thing is, I just didn't have the time window to do it.
Yeah,
right?
but I thought I thought that would have been one of your priorities for the secateurs.
No, that's from part 1.
Oh, that's number 2, isn't it?
Number 2, yeah.
Yeah, number 3.
Yeah, that's
number
right.
3.
Number 3 is the watering can.
Yeah, the bottomless
That's
watering
right.
can.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. But I have a new least favorite quest of the game.
Oh dear.
Would you care to guess what it is, Zerdones? Perd saw me complaining about this last night, so he doesn't get to guess.
No.
Grim Tales.
No. One more guess.
One more guess.
It involves summoning.
That actually makes it harder. What quest involves summoning?
And it is a 5th age quest. It is a very old one. Can we tell him where it happens?
No, I would give it away.
Yeah, that would almost certainly give it away.
Yeah.
Okay, 5th age quest involves summoning. What's the
And actually, it involves something that you're quite involved with at the moment.
Oh, is it Summer's End?
Spirit of Summer,
gave it
the
away
first
too
Spirit
one.
of Summer? Yeah,
The
you
first
gave,
one.
you gave away too much.
I gave away
Spirit
too
of
much, yeah.
Summer, the first one.
I was way off. I was grasping for one of the Void quests, but okay.
I had a time
Spirit of
with this
Summer.
quest. The overlay, for some reason, was just absolutely lagging my client horrendously. The back and forth into the wilderness, moving through the portals, just a bunch of jankiness going back and forth, talking to all the people inside there, and the back and forth between Spirit Realm and regular wilderness. And then this was all topped off at the end of the quest when you have to lure the beast onto the 3 paths at the end. My client was not rendering the lightning.
Oh.
So I had no idea I had done the first 2 successfully until I opened up the quest journal and I see, oh, do it for the 3rd pad now. So I spent probably 25 minutes, 35 minutes redoing pads 1 and 2, expecting I would see lightning and, maybe not landing in the right spot and having the beast devour the familiar, only to find out that I was doing this because the game did not render the lightning properly.
Your computer didn't render it properly. Don't blame the game.
Well, the client, my game client didn't do that. But,
I had a laugh because...
And it's just the movement of needing to kite a familiar and the beast onto something that is so small. Because you know how familiar movement can be.
Too, yeah.
So...
I will back you on that one because when I did that on this account, it was I must have gone through 3 or 4 each of the
I went through
creatures.
I went through like a dozen spirit wolves.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but
because I had no idea
you have the
I wasn't
excuse if you
successful.
didn't see, yeah. But I was just sitting there going, oh, Christ. And then you just wander off. So you go and get him, and you start going, and then all of a sudden the wolf appears behind you instead of in front of you, going, what the hell? Yeah, it was a pain, that one. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's a space at some point for there to be some sort of quest QOL on this, some way to, just completely rework the end of that quest to make it not reliant on the lightning visual effect.
Formal request. Fix Spirit of Summer, a quest that was released in 2008.
And has one quest off.
Hey, they just did an update on one that was 2009, so come on.
Yeah.
Well, even older, Merlin's Crystal, right?
Well, yeah.
No, they tweak the dialogue.
Yeah. Which, there's difference.
Fixes a fix.
There's a difference between tweaking dialogue and changing the way it works at the end. But this is definitely in contention now for probably my least favorite quest in the game.
I don't remember Spirit of Summer. I must have done Spirit of Summer like when it came out. I remember Summer's End being brutal because the quote unquote fight against the corporeal beast,
lighting the fires.
Yeah, I remember that being awful.
Well, that quest was going to be tonight after the show.
I did them back to back a few weeks ago. Those two.
Yeah. I'd imagine I'd imagine Summer's End isn't going to be as bad. Hopefully.
First one was worse. Yeah, for me. But lighting the fires, that was a pain in the ass, and it was. They're probably on the Iron Man. They were probably the 2 least favorite or most frustrating quests.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe that won't be tonight. Then we'll see. We'll see how I feel. But in any case, what have you been up to, Pern?
Myself, pretty quiet. I added another 35 quest points. I'm at 394 now. Knocked out a bunch last week. I've been working, getting my crafting up. Ostensibly, I need 92, but I want to get it a bit higher than that with boost so that I hit the Ganodermics and start making us all Ganodermic armor. Hit 94 Slayer on the weekend, on Tuesday, so that opened up Lava Strike Worms, so I'll be able to start getting us into
for agropods.
Yeah, for agropods there. So they'll be coming soon. Yep, as I said, I'm 250k off 95 Slayer, so that'll hit the Ganodermics and hopefully open up a whole lot for us. That's basically been it. And smithing, I've been doing a lot of mining of bainite to get my smithing. I'm aiming for 90 all. I'm also running at least 5 shattered tombs a night. Been doing that to try and get a soul talisman. You must be wearing a
Is
tier
that the
3
best
ring
place to
for
get
that,
the soul
so.
talisman?
Well, until I hit 104 Slayer, it's the only place.
Jesus. And we don't have one for the group yet, do we?
No. That's it. I want to get one for the group. We can put it in there. We can all show it. Get our Omni talismans. And then that everyone will have the Omni talisman and we'll be right. So that's what I'm working on for the group. I did a bit of bank cleaning, found a whole lot of potions and such, and extra seeds that were in the wrong spots that I put in the bank for you and Thaxi. And that's basically it. Yeah, just the general all-round questing, Slayer, and smithing / mining.
Well, it is appreciated because I haven't really been able to focus, for long sessions on the game just due to, being sick.
Well, being
and then
sick,
catching
yeah.
up, and then just being busy in the last week and a half or so on that. So it is nice to see things like that moving along.
Well, it's funny. I'm at 90. Where am I? I'm 94 now on my farming. Where's my farming? 94 farming. Almost 95, which is basically all been just chin chompers and that. I stole Thaxi's dragons that you put in there for him last week. I thought, he's put it because I found the eggs ages ago, and I got 3 females, and you finally adopted a male, and we finally got that. And I thought Shane's put a set in there for me not realizing that Thaxi had requested them, so I stole them from him.
And here I thought I gave the eggs to the raptor or something.
Yeah, Shane's going, I don't know what happened to them. I'm going, sorry guys, I actually pinched them. Shane was going nuts hunting his bank, thinking he's fed them to the for the beans and things. But just having a lot of fun and games. And remember the enriched Pontifex Shadow Ring is a tier 3 luck. I didn't realize the first few I ran. The Ring of Luck is actually Ring of Wealth, I should say, is actually only a tier 2.
Yep.
Yes. So I ran my first dozen with that and thinking, geez, and then I've had a look. Hang on, why does that say tier 2? And then just charged up the Pontifex.
Yeah, people don't realize
tier 3, so.
How powerful that ring is. That and the Infernal puzzle box as well. 2 things everybody should get.
Yep, definitely.
All right. Also this week, we do have a few achievements as well. We have Jade Gizmo with 200 mil fishing on March 26th. Arcane with 120 woodcutting on the 25th. Also on the 25th, we have Harlot Man with 120 Herblore and 120 Archaeology. And then on the 20th, we have Hemsky with 99 Necromancy.
Congratulations all.
Very nice.
All right. Now, for Pick of the Week, we have a bit of deja vu going on here. Because once upon a time, I did this as Pick of the Week, but the show was bordering on 3 hours, so we cut that and a couple of other things from it.
Coward.
But it's time to begin a series of picks of the week that I was going to do in January, but I'm just getting around to now. This series of picks of the week is going to be about if you wanted to get into podcasting on your own, what are some good things to start off with? And of course, we'll talk about hardware another day, but in general, one of the things that people always say is, how do you edit a podcast. And, you can use convoluted pieces of software, or you can just go simple with a free open source piece of software called Audacity that actually supports pretty much all the tools and plugins that you need out of the box to make something sound decent and something that you can record with, add some introduction music to, remove maybe some gaffes here and there, and then export it out as just a plain vanilla MP3 or what have you, and be able to ship that off onto the internet. And the reason I highlight this is because when it comes to podcasts, I am a believer that, as much as people are, moving towards video podcasts, and that's what all the rage is on YouTube and whatnot, I am a big believer that if your audio component of your podcast does not work, it is not a podcast. As in, if you can't, just tuck your phone away and just be listening to the people in your head, if you need to look at things, then you're kind of in that way producing a YouTube video and not a podcast. So podcasts should be, in my view, audio first, and we always try and do that with this show. And that's why it comes down to audio editing and just, in effect, laying out your segments and your recordings as you go, and being able to edit that effectively. Do things like maybe doing some basic noise reduction, or removing gaps of silence, or maybe doing some light equalization on your host's voices, and then after that, maybe just adjusting the volume of everybody who was on the show to bring everybody in line to a specific range, so everybody sounds about the same volume as it sounds on this show. Audacity can do all of that. It's a little bit complicated to get your fingers into, but the best way to learn these things is to kind of just play around with it. So if you have any interest in audio editing, or just in general audio engineering type stuff, making even like sound effects or something, Audacity might actually just be a good place to start for that. 100% free, open source. You can find it at audacityteam.org. And that's the pick of the week this week.
It's a pretty popular tool, so I imagine, like, if you wanted to get into it and you weren't really sure how to start, I'm sure there's lots of resources online to help you. Articles, videos.
Yeah,
whatever.
Absolutely.
Lots of videos, yeah.
Absolutely.
I haven't used Audacity in, probably 20 years, but...
Yeah, that I'm thinking of a couple videos that do pop up about Audacity, and I've done experiments before where I've actually parallel edited like a monthly bit or something in Audacity right next to Adobe Audition as I was doing it, and to an untrained ear, you're not going to be able to hear the difference between what I produced in Adobe Audition and Audacity if you, in effect, follow the same general sort of guidelines with it. So there's no reason not to start off with it. That's what I started off with all these years ago. And it's just a good tool, I think, for everybody to have in the back of their pocket if you ever need to edit an audio file, because that's its primary thing. So any questions or any further thoughts from either of you?
No, it's one that I've actually I have used, and I quite often make ringtones using it.
Yeah, that's something you could definitely use with it as well if you wanna run like the musical ringtone sort of thing. So.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of creative, like if you do a lot of kind of creative things, there's a lot of applications for doing audio editing. Like if you want to make podcasts, as Shane said, if you want to do YouTube videos, having good audio quality and a good audio engineering is really important to that.
Yeah.
If you want to make video games, like we're a video game podcast, maybe some of our listeners want to make games. Sound is a big part of video games. Like it's a very useful skill for a wide range of creative endeavors.
Yeah, and I think the last thing I'll say is that the skills are kind of transferable. So if you become comfortable in Audacity, you could easily upgrade to something like Adobe Audition and have a leg up to get going on that. So
Sure.
It is useful in that regard. But that's the pick of the week, Audacity. Does anybody have anything else before we go? I think we did good this week.
Yeah, one thing I did forget to mention, I don't think my Iron Man is linked to the account. I did hit 99 necromancy on Tuesday as well.
Hey.
Unfortunately, had to just bite the bullet and get it done. It was getting close, so I really wanted Slayer as my first.
I thought I
99,
added
but
everybody manually to the high scores and to their forum account. I'll have a look at that after.
Nah, that's fair enough. But yeah,
because I know I saw Thaxi appear. I know I appeared. So I'll have a look at that.
Or maybe it happened after the time ran on this.
Yeah, and it very much could have.
Yeah. But anyway.
No problem. In any case, good episode. Thank you, Zerdones, for being here.
Yeah, always happy.
And of course you, Parnassus, everybody's second favorite Australian.
It is me. And again, shout out to Mod Stew, who actually listened to me.
Yeah, I think it was Mod Stew. I could be misremembering the mod, but I think it was Stu.
Well, we're gonna give Stu the credit. Sorry if it wasn't. Sorry, other mod, hypothetical other mod.
Yeah.
Hey, all the mods. Let's be faithful. All the mods must love me, hey?
Oh, yeah.
Their favorite idiot Australian.
Well, if you do want the podcast delivered each and every week to hear the Australians, the best way to do that is go to update.show/subscribe. We're on all the podcast listening services out there: Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Spotify, and of course YouTube as well at youtube.com/RSBANDB. Like and subscribe. I know that's a cliche out there. It really helps in the YouTube podcasting space if you do that. Even if you listen on another platform, it would be greatly appreciated. But I think that's pretty much it for this week. So with that being said, thank you both for being here, and we'll be back next week for another episode of RSBANDB Update. See you then, everyone. Take care.
Happy escaping all.